So trophy lodges have been confirmed by EW. They released the image on their social media pages that we are getting trophy lodges added to the Hunter Call of the Wild sometime in April. And I've got a bit of a rabbit hole I want to get into because there's a lot of stuff that I have been kind of thinking about. I've been playing the game a lot, and just while running around multiplayer and stuff, I've kind of thought of a few things that may be interesting, and the image actually somewhat adds to them. But we'll get into that. So the first thing I want to talk about with trophy lodges is the lodge is called Spring Creek Manor, which I think means we are going to have a location on the map where you can spawn, and that is going to take you to the trophy lodge. I think it's going to be like spawning on Layton Lake or Hirschfeld, and you'll go to your map and you'll actually select Spring Creek Manor and spawn there. The other reason I think that is one of the hints actually had like a red deer statue outside. We don't have a red deer statue on any of the maps, so I have to assume it's going to be its own little thing. Just probably like a couple 100 meters, just a little place you spawn, you go in your lodge, and you do your thing. But anyway, I'll stick with things that I have seen on the image so far, and this was one of the more discussed topics, was if we're getting trophy lodges, are we then getting true racks? And if you don't know what true racks are, that is the system in the Hunter Classic that actually spawns the unique racks on the animals. So if you notice in Call of the Wild, a 190 trophy rating whitetail looks the same no matter who shot it, how many have been shot. A 190 looks the same, where in Classic they don't. So are we getting true racks added? Because if not, with trophy lodges, then, I mean, for the most part, you're going to have a bunch of very similar looking animals. And I think what's interesting, if you look at the image, we have a scrub hare, we have a black buck, we have a jackal, a red fox, a duck, and a goose. None of those have antlers, and therefore you're really not going to end up with any kind of unique racks, because horns can, there's not a whole lot you can do with the black buck, and the rest of them don't have anything. So I find that interesting they don't include anything with antlers. It may be a big coincidence, but maybe they're trying to, not announce that true racks are going to be a thing through that. So I was thinking about that. I saw that and I was like, okay, maybe that actually means something. Maybe we are getting true racks and they just haven't said anything yet. And I think this is where things actually get really interesting, because it leads me to a potential for a scoring change. And what I mean is, if you look at the way the game works now, you can have a maximum total score on animals of 1,000. That's if you get the max trophy rating and you get all your bonuses at 100%. The interesting thing about true racks, the way it works in the Hunter Classic at least, you never get an animal with a perfect trophy rating, unless it's like a bear where it's a skull. Basically anything with antlers, you never have a perfect trophy rating. If you look at the top of the leaderboard every season, it's never the same thing even. Like, no one ever gets the max. There's always some variance because of the deductions. All that stuff is like uniquely scored. So the thing is, I don't know how you could ever get a 1,000 again if they were to add true racks, unless they just did it differently. But assuming that it's a very similar system, because it would be the same company that develops it, I don't see how you could ever have 1,000s. Now, that said, there was an interesting kind of happening on one of EW's live streams, and I believe it was quickly glossed over, but basically what happened was someone asked if they would look into or if they would consider redoing, I don't remember the wording, but doing something with Canseco was basically the question. And again, it was just like a quick answer, something like, yeah, we'll look into it, or we're considering it, whatever. I don't remember what they said, but I find it interesting, because let's say they are going to a true rack system. That 1,000, I don't know if that's possible, again, with true racks. But if they are going to that system, would they even just do away with all the bonuses? Now, integrity would matter. You wouldn't be able to say, shoot a scrub hare with a 470. That would just be like a disqualified harvest. That's the way it works in Classic. But it wouldn't necessarily be a bonus, is the way I'm thinking. So I wonder, are they considering, at least, going to a strictly trophy rating system? Because then that could still work. You wouldn't necessarily get the total score, so you wouldn't have the 1,000s and the 950s and all that. But you could just say, okay, if it's in the top possible 5% of possible trophy rating for an animal, then it's a diamond. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would just be based on strictly trophy rating, if that's the way they'd be willing to go. But I'm just thinking that would actually be possible. Because remember, trophy lodges are going to get old really fast without some kind of true racks. Like, you get a diamond of every species in there or whatever, and then you're kind of done. Or whatever your standard is, like gold of every species probably for some people and they'd be happy, but everything's going to end up looking the exact same. My 951 whitetail looks the same as someone else's 948 whitetail as is. I think the rack is like exactly similar. So if they were to add a true rack system, that makes their product way better, and therefore is a pretty intelligent business decision for them to do that. But like the bonuses is what actually interests me with this, and I've really tried to consider like what they would actually be looking to do with it, because if they would get rid of Canseco, as I said, they kind of quickly glossed over, but they at least acknowledged they would look into it. The integrity, I talked about that, you know, they could still use it, just not as a bonus. And then the quick kill thing, I don't know that it's necessarily relevant. I guess it could be, but if we're looking at any kind of realistic perspective, if you manage to find the animal that you shot, you know what, I guess good enough. I understand the encouraging, you know, good hunting practices, good shot placement, all that stuff, but, you know, when it comes down to it, if you manage to bring down a 200-inch whitetail, you manage to do it. So, I don't know, I'm so intrigued by this. The whole Trophy Lodge thing, and the fact that they didn't include any antlered animal in the picture really has me thinking. Would they? Would they completely redo everything? Because that's the thing. If they add true racks, it's not as simple as that. The entire scoring system has to see some kind of change, because I don't think you could have a 1,000 scoring animal anymore. I don't think it could happen unless they made true racks different, again, as I said. But if they can't have a 1,000 scoring animal anymore, then that leads to the whole thing. Would they just get rid of bonuses because they no longer matter? It's only about trophy rating when you get to that point, because you can't get the max. So why would you have, you know, the other bonuses? I don't see the reason for it. So that's all I have to say today. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Please let me know in the comments below, because I'm sure there are other opinions out there other than mine, but especially if you do play Classic or have played Classic and understand the true rack system a bit better than maybe someone that just heard about it, I really am intrigued. I do want to know what you guys think. I'll definitely be reading through the comments, and yeah, let me know what you think. But that is going to do it from me, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.